Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a couple of monster storms out west. Look, we're talking about multiple huge snowstorms bringing over 200 inches of snowfall potentially for these mountainous regions out west. Absolutely insane. Also, a potential nor'easter that is going to either be a really close call, hit, or a near miss. Very interesting setup we have going on. Anyways, before I get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think we will ever get a stormy pattern in the east like we're seeing out west, where there's just going to be frequent storms? Or do you think that La Nina pattern has just taken over too much and we're not going to be able to see that setup take place? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look here at our national radar imagery, and there's really just two things going on here. One, we have a bit of a snowstorm going on out for the northwest, but also we have a storm going on here for the Gulf states in the south central United States. There's a couple interesting things I want to zoom in and show you. So first things first, let's just go out west and take a look at what's going on out here. Let's get a more zoomed out look here. Okay. For what's been really frequent here throughout December so far, we're really seeing more of this precipitation in this region that has just been getting hammered with that storminess, really, especially the west coast here. Pretty persistent rainfall. You're getting some breaks in there, as you can see, but it really has been persistent. We see some of those yellows in here. That's indicating some heavier pockets of rainfall near Portland, south and north of Portland as well. We're seeing that going on. And then also the mountainous regions here, mostly for southern Washington there in the Cascades and the northern Oregon there. That's where we're seeing the most of the precipitation. Some of this is making its way out west here for Idaho and Montana as well. For instance, if you're in, kind of more of these central western regions of Montana there, you are seeing some snowfall also near Billings there in the south central regions. But for northwestern Montana, here in northern Idaho, you're kind of left high and dry for now, although the general tilt of a lot of this precipitation is more northeasterly, so I would not be surprised if we do get a little bit of that precipitation trending further and further north for some of you up there further north. Now, let's take a quick look here over at the north central United States, because we do have some snow showers ongoing here for the Dakotas and Minnesota as well. Some of that has even made its way north of Minneapolis also for some of those regions. So we've seen some snow showers around because that cool down has fully set in. So there's a lot of cold air available. So any precipitation up here is mostly in the form of snowfall. Now, these lakes are very warm, you can tell, because we have rainfall over the lakes, but then the second it moves over land, it becomes lake effect snowfall there. So the upper peninsula of Michigan there has been seeing quite a bit of lake effect snowfall, actually. And even some here for the lower peninsula of Michigan we've been seeing as well. So there's been some lake effect going on. Now, probably the most interesting thing we're going to talk about today is this storminess down here. We've had some pretty heavy rainfall for a lot of these regions in here throughout the morning, but I think the most interesting thing is just to the northeast of Dallas. Look at that. Look at what we got going on here for Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas. This region right here has been seeing a little bit of snowfall on the very northern end of that warm front that's trying to battle its way up. Right here along that border kind of is where that snowfall has set up. Very interesting. Did not expect to see that this morning. But it's, a pleasant surprise. Definitely interesting. Paris, Texas there. Hugo, Oklahoma. Idabel, Oklahoma there. Texarkana there as well. Areas such as those towns probably are not awake for this, and it's even earlier in these regions because I think they're central time. But yeah, definitely a very interesting setup for a lot of those folks down there. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some model guidance for these this train of monster storms that's going to head into the western United States, and also that close call nor'easter along the east coast. All right, now here we are taking a look at this morning from the time I'm making this video. You can see that snowfall for these regions that's ongoing that I just indicated. We can also see some of that lake effect snowfall We can also see a lot of this storminess down here going on as well. So this model does have a pretty good handle on right now, but it should because it's right now. So it's also indicating, I think, some of that mixing going on. I see some blues going on here, so it is indicating some of that. Yeah, I do see the blue. So it does understand that there will be potentially some mixing going on for that region for a little bit. Things begin to get pretty interesting as we move towards tomorrow morning at about 2 a.m. or so. We see a lot of this snowfall has headed from these regions further inland there to mostly Montana, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota as well, for a lot of those regions. This storminess, look, this is going to be our nor'easter. This low pressure system has moved basically from where it was impacting these regions. It's taken a classic Miller A nor'easter track. We're going to see it hook up the East Coast like this. We see these storms typically start out in these regions. This is where the storms usually begin, and then they dip down and then head up the coast. That's frequently what we see out of these storms. Sometimes you'll see a low pressure system come in like this from Mexico and do the same thing as well. But these classic Miller A nor'easters, this is generally the track we're watching for. Let's take this towards tomorrow afternoon. And we see this become a bit of a clipper up here for the north central United States, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Upper Peninsula Michigan, that is, seeing some light to moderate snowfall with that. Maybe a bit of another cool down trying to move in for these regions. We see our low pressure system here, this nor'easter over Florida, potentially going to head northward from there. Now, as we move this forward towards about Wednesday at about, let's do about 6 a.m. here, we have this low pressure system offshore Virginia as a 994 millibar low pressure system. So again, it's taking a track a bit like this, where it's hooked up. Classic Miller A nor'easter. We see our jet stream is doing something like this. It's just not quite cold enough. If we had a trough like this, it would latch onto that, and it would be a major snowstorm for somewhere in here. But it just, the setup we've had, this pattern is just not sufficient for it at all, and we're seeing a bit of snowfall out here at the beginning of that very snowy pattern. We're going to have to switch back, actually, to our 0Z run. So it's the same thing as you can see, basically, since this is only 60 hours out. We'll take this towards about 3 p.m., and look at that. This does bring some snowfall to New England, the classic nor'easter region, really. New Hampshire, Maine, potentially going to see some snowfall out of this. We will take a look at that total snowfall in a second, I promise you. We're seeing that ongoing snowfall out here, and we will zoom into the west once that's the primary region we're talking about. But that nor'easter really moves out by the time we're taking a look at about 6 a.m. on Thursday, December 23rd. That storm should have fully moved out, and we see really snowy conditions out west here. Very, very snowy, to say the least, honestly. Very, very snowy. Let's take a quick look at that total snowfall here for the New England states, since that's really the only area that sees snowfall potentially from this nor'easter. It could trend even further away and really bring nothing. So we're going to go to total snowfall here. Let me find this. Here we go. Okay, so really, I mean, for this region right here, it could be a pretty significant quick snowstorm. I mean, you're talking about a dusting, if anything, in the grays, but you're talking about 2 to 6 inches of snowfall there in the blues. In the purples here for Maine, it's really where this storm shines. We see 6 to 10 there in the purples. And then in these pinks, we're seeing 10 inches plus, and you can even see about 1 foot plus in this region here, right there. I think that's near Caribou. So there's a pretty exclusive region there, but it is actually a pretty large amount of snowfall for a little surprise snowstorm, such as one like this. And this model's even indicating 21 inches plus for somewhere here up in Canada. Very, very interesting setup we have there. Let's go back to a national view. This is the snowfall we see so far through Thursday morning, but we're going to need to move even further than this. We're seeing Friday morning. We get this classic track we've been seeing all winter. We have this storm move through like this, and I can already tell you it's going to do something like that. And we see very heavy snowfall for these regions. The Rockies in the west has been shining this winter. I mean, you guys have been getting so much snowfall. Look at that. The low pressure system takes about the track I said right there. We see these storms cutting like this all winter long. We've seen this. It's classic. Just like this, boom. That's the track we've been seeing all winter. We do see some snowfall for Minnesota and Wisconsin. Again, we've been seeing a lot of that all winter as well. We see our next storm move into the west, and this one's even bigger maybe. We see a lot of snowfall for all of these regions. Pretty persistent snowfall. A lot of rain there for the southwest actually as well. And we do see some snowfall here for the northeast. A little bit of an interior storm, although this is the long range. And then right after that storm ends, and we do see this one kind of move into these regions, I will have a total snowfall map and a little bit of a discussion about this potential snowstorm in here. It'll be up on my Patreon page, so you can find that in the pinned comment and the description down below. I will have that up. But for the Northwest, we're seeing another storm, about the third storm now for these regions. Very interesting setup we find ourselves in, and potentially a huge trough in the east. Again, I will include that in my Patreon discussion, but we're seeing another storm move in out west again, and potentially some northeastern snowfall. All of this long-range stuff here in the east will be on my Patreon page, so be sure to check that out. And if you're a Diamond patron or a Platinum patron, if you decide to do that as well, you will get a shout out at the end of each of our videos. And if you've watched for a long time, you do know that. Now, let's take a look at the total snowfall here in the western United States, okay? Western United States. I mean, this is crazy, guys. Anywhere in the grays is a dusting, if anything, but there's hardly any grays. Blues 2 to 6, but there's, again, hardly any blues. Purples are 6 to 10, and there's still hardly any purples. So most areas out here are seeing at least the pinks, which is 10 to 20 inches of snowfall. These pastel blues in there, as you can see, are about 20 to 30 inches of snowfall. These pastel purples are going to be anywhere from 30 to, anything beyond that. Now, the maximum somewhere in here, drum roll please, 192 inches of snowfall somewhere in here, and I can't indicate exactly where it is, but somewhere in the Rockies or the Sierra Nevadas or the Cascades is seeing 200 inches, maybe very close to 200 inches. And if it can be 192, trust me, we can get 8 more inches. So this has very high potential to be 200 inches in 10 days. So that would be more than 20 inches a day. Think about that. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane snowfall totals for the Cascades, the Sierra Nevadas, the Northern Rockies, and even the Southern Rockies here. Very, very high snowfall totals. Again, 3 monster storms probably. Maybe more, maybe less. But regardless, it's the same story. It is going to be insanely snowy through Christmas and beyond Christmas. I mean, absolutely crazy pattern you guys have found yourselves in for this December so far. And probably most of you hope that it actually ends as we head into January, and only time will be able to tell. Anyway, that's it for this video, actually, guys. So for today's confidence tab, we are at a 5 out of 6 because really I know we're going to be in a snowy pattern. I know there's going to be a nor'easter for the eastern seaboard, and it's either going to be a close call or a narrow hit, really, and only bringing maybe snowfall to New England. I'm very confident in a lot of the things we talked about today because it's just the pattern we've been in, and it's the pattern we're going to continue to be in. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you guys for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, and there's a couple new ones here, so I might choke up a little bit. Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Larry LePan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes. I would also like to thank our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Conley, Noah Harley, Michael Kudalesa, Catbite, Charles Tenitz, Bill Dallas, Gary's, and John Quilisi. So we've gained some Platinum patrons. We've lost a few Diamond patrons. It's going to take me a while to get used to those names. But if you want to join this Patreon page and be on this Patron entry of the day and gain access to some of our cool posts like the one I'm making today, you can join it in the description and in the pinned comment down below. I would also like to thank our channel members Catbite, Stephen Finn, and Jeremy Cox also. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.